it's Kylie and Zori back at the podcast.
Hello.
So today we thought we would start off with, we have this book called The Daily Stoic, and there's like daily quotes with just little like motivation in it. So this one is no excuses. It is possible to curb your arrogance, to overcome pleasure and pain, to rise above your ambition, and to not be angry with stupid and ungrateful people. Yes, even to care for them. I was just born this way. I never learned anything different. My parents set a terrible example. Everyone else does it. What are these? Excuses that people use to justify staying as they are instead of striving to become better. Of course, it's possible to curb our arrogance, control our anger, and be a caring person. How do you think others do it? Certainly, their parents weren't perfect. They didn't come out of the womb incapable of ego or immune to temptation. They worked on it. They made it a priority. They solved it like they would solve any other problem, by dedicating themselves to finding a solution, making incremental progress until they did. They became who they are, just like you can. Were we not just talking about
No,
this?
because we were. I was going to say, why is this perfect?
Bro.
Because we're just about to get into, like...
That was like our last
That was literally
podcast.
what we were just talking
We were
about.
like, you can change
You
if
can
you
do
want.
whatever you want. Like, that was literally exactly what we were just talking about.
Wow.
Okay.
Well, on that note.
On that note, what? This is my third...
I
don't know what this is. We're drinking. My point is, we need to get into the power now.
Yeah. So this is another book, if you guys
this is a
know.
book by Eckhart Tolle. It's like really, really popular. Like if you don't know about it, you just probably aren't in like the spirituality space. But like it's basically just a self-help book.
It's called The Power of Now. If you missed that,
and it's not like it's weirdly like it's about meditation, but it's not necessarily about meditation. You know how I was kind of talking about in the last pod about like mindfulness versus meditation and how they're kind of the same thing, but like mindfulness you can take with you throughout the day versus like meditation where you like kind of just sit down and like actually meditate.
Right.
So like this book helped me be more mindful, and I am saying it as somebody who's only 40 pages in.
Yeah.
I'm not even a third of the way through this book, and I preach it like I know it with the back of my fucking hand. So I found a page in here because I didn't have my book on me where I underlined all these like really specific lines that I just like whatever. Maybe next time I'll bring it or something.
Right, yeah.
But I found this part where it talks about freeing yourself from the mind. So I want to like talk about this concept because right under it, it says, what exactly do you mean by watching the thinker? And I just kind of like, before we get into like what Eckhart Tolle says about it, I kind of want to talk about, like, my, version of the thinker, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, like, and this is how, literally, I stay sane, which is, like, literally what that quote was just talking about. Like, I don't know how it all came so perfectly, but, I separate myself from my thoughts.
Yeah.
Because I'm not my thoughts.
Yeah.
You know that?
Yeah. Kind of like, what is it when people say, like, you're not your trauma, or you're not your mistakes, or like
not
certain
your mental
things.
Illness. Like, you are just you, and you're dealing with those things, right? So, for example, I even heard, like, this thing, like, this is so small and stupid, but, like, I had this thing of, like, if you ever think something mean, like, right away, and be like, oh my god, what the fuck was that?
Yeah.
Like, that wasn't really you. Like, that's just kind of, like, what society taught you to, like, think right away. So, like, there's so many times where I've been in a room and, like, think something mean about somebody, and then literally, like, immediately, not even, like, a second later, I'm like, why the fuck would I think that?
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh, that's not me.
Right.
And I do that now because I learned more about it, but, like, before then, it's like, why the fuck would I think that? I'm a shitty person.
Yeah.
I'm like, but obviously, shitty people don't sit here and wonder whether or not they're shitty people. They really don't. They're sorry.
Not conscious of it. Yeah.
I'm like, so it's like, I'm sitting here like, oh my god, why would I think something like that? And it's like, well, that's just like what society would say.
Yeah.
And that's just, you can think anything, and it doesn't necessarily mean you have to stay attached to it.
Yeah.
And we were talking about anxious people before, and I feel like anxious people attach themselves to their thought, right? So it's like, oh, I thought this thing, why am I thinking that?
Right.
Well, what if other people are thinking that? Well, what if other people are thinking this? And it's like, I just don't care.
Right.
I just don't care.
Yes, you have to get to a point where you don't care, or else
you just don't care.
Consumes you. Like
it's like first you're trying not to care, and then before you know it, you're just not caring. So okay, watching.
It's like the fake it till you make it thing.
Literally. But so the watching the thinker. Okay, who's the thinker? We aren't the thinker. We are just ourselves, and then the thinker's in there, right?
Yes.
So I think about this, my brain. I know obviously this is not true, but I think about it. I picture like a space up here.
Yeah.
And there's like me, and then there's like the thinker.
Yeah.
This is like so crazy to
It's gonna be trippy.
I know. So there's like me and there's the thinker. So the thinker is like in essence.
Yeah.
Whereas like I'm just there. So a lot of time when I try to meditate, what I do is I sit. I have a lot of different visuals I like to go through because I'm a big person on aesthetics.
Yeah.
So, but the main two I go back to is one I love. This one I love, but it doesn't always work well for me. Is where I'm just back floating, like I'm floating on my back in like a pool, and everything around me is dark.
Yeah.
Like, this is dark. My hair is wet, and I'll listen to music. And what I'll do is try to like pay attention to a certain sound because music is repetitive, right?
Right.
So there's like maybe a drum in the back going at the same pace, and maybe a saxophone here going at the same like melody or whatever. And when you listen to it regularly, you're just listening to all of it. But like when you listen to it, like you can pick and choose what you want to listen to,
right?
And where it goes and where it comes from. So sometimes when I don't want to meditate conventionally or do a guided meditation where they're like, okay, breathe in. Which I enjoy those sometimes, but every once in a while I'm just like, I just don't want to fucking do that, but I want to meditate. What do? So I'll put on a song and like just follow the drums or follow the guitar or even just follow.
Because it's focusing, Yeah,
I'm focusing on one thing, and I'll just float and listen and see what comes up because the main thing with meditation is like I can't meditate, like my mind's too crazy. That's the point.
Yeah.
What's coming up?
Yeah.
It is fucking crazy once you get comfortable just being like, okay, whatever's gonna come up is gonna come up.
Yeah.
And you can observe it from a third party, like, because it's different to connect to it and be like, oh my god, I have to do this. Is it different to be like, oh my god, my anxiety is making me feel like I have to do all these. That is like the second like self-actualization.
Yeah.
Where you're like, oh, that's not me. And I think that's one of the number one like meditation tips that I heard from somebody was like to name your thoughts. Because they all are attached to something, right?
Oh, yeah, wait.
So
I heard this too.
Yes, they're all attached to something. So like this actually happened not too long ago. I was literally spiraling in my room.
Yeah.
Like spiraling. It is few and far between that I spiral now because of my practices. Like I still feel things, but it usually doesn't go crazy. But I was like spiraling. And I was high. Okay. I wasn't spiraling before I was high because I don't smoke if I'm in a bad place.
Right.
Specifically. Like I don't do that. I don't do that. So I was in a good place and then I just like randomly had a thought and started spiraling and literally was like this. Like just staring.
Like just detached.
Just detached and then I was like going over and over and then I was like so I like brought myself back down to earth. I was like, what's going on? I was like, why do you feel this way? I was like, so I thought about my next thought. My next thought was like something crazy. I don't know, something stupid. And I just was like, what is making me feel that way though? And then I went to the thought behind that thought. And went to the thought behind that thought. And it's so crazy. Sometimes it's not that deep. Sometimes it's literally just one thought behind the other. But it was so crazy because then I just was like, oh, I'm just anxious because of this one thing. Right. And I was like, well, that hasn't happened yet, so I don't need to worry about it. Right. And literally calmed myself down from it. It wasn't that easy, though. I did have to do a whole 10-minute yoga. Right. But to, like, actually get down from the spiral. Like, I recognized what it was, and that was good. But then I still was anxious about it. So then I, like, did yoga, and that helped me because that's movement meditation. But, like, in that moment, I was like, if you can name it, I'll do an example. If you're at work and you're talking to somebody at work and they walk away and they seem kind of weird and you're like, are they mad at me? Mm-hmm. Oh my god, are they mad at me? Oh my god, they hate me. Mm-hmm. Oh my fucking god. I don't do that because I really just don't care. If you have a problem with me, you better bring it the fuck up because otherwise I'm gonna act like there's nothing wrong. I don't do passive aggressive shit. If you're gonna act passive aggressive, I'm gonna act like nothing's wrong and I'm gonna be blissfully ignorant. Yes. Even if I know that something's wrong, I'm just going to be like, nothing's wrong until you fucking bring it up. Yeah. Just be an adult. But there's a lot of people that won't be like that.
Or I'll be like, why are you being weird?
Because
I feel the vibe is
oh my
off.
God, I did that once to my roommate. She was being so fucking weird. I knew exactly what she was pissed off about. I didn't even do anything wrong, but I knew exactly what she was pissed off about, and I knew she just wasn't bringing it up. So I was like,
you make her feel awkward. You're like, why are you weird?
So I said to her straight up, I was like, are you gonna talk to me if something's wrong, or are you gonna keep being weird?
What's your problem?
She looked at me down in my face. I didn't know.
Because people don't expect.
She wasn't expecting that. She goes, I didn't know I was being weird. I was like, okay.
Yeah, you did.
I literally said, okay. And then I left it. And then the next day she was like, I'm so sorry. Like, this is why I tell people, I'm like, if you can be the bigger person, if you can hold out and wait, it's worth it.
Yeah.
It. Anyway. Example. You think somebody's mad at you, right? That you don't know, for sure. You can stop yourself. So that's the thinking. And spiraling. And being like, why would she be mad at me? Oh, it was because of this. Oh, it was because of that. Why would she be mad at me?
And then now you're just assuming stuff.
So you're spiraling. You need to take yourself a layer out of the thinker.
Because you're
not the thinker. You're not the thinker. Those are just what's happening in your head and you're entertaining it, right?
It's not reality.
It's not reality. It's just what you're entertaining. Just because you think it doesn't mean it's real. Which is a crazy concept to some people. And it was a crazy concept to me for a while. But now I've lived it so long, like I'm comfortable with it. But just because you think it does not mean it's real. So, to take yourself out of that, right? Oh, that's anxiety talking. This person has not explicitly told me that they are mad at me.
Yeah.
That is anxiety talking and saying that they're mad at me. They could have any other number of things going on and reasons why they're acting weird. It is not about me. Yeah. And if it is about me, they should bring it up.
Yeah. Yeah, literally.
Deaded. And this is why I'm not anxious like that anymore. Because I just don't care. Because my brain will do that. If I'm like, oh my God, it doesn't even happen in like a process anymore. It happens in a split second. This is what I mean. Like you have to teach it to yourself. Because it was a process where I like would have to tell myself, but now it's like a split second. It's like, no, why would they be mad at me? Yeah. Why would they be mad at me? I haven't even talked to them in a month.
What's
why would they be upset with me?
What's difficult though is to try to do that, like if you're spiraling or to think those thoughts. It's hard when you're in an argument or like a heated thing where it's you don't even have time. That other person's not gonna let you sit there and be like spiral and think about it.
Which is why they say like you should just kind of separate. If you're in an argument where you're screaming at each other, you need to separate. Yeah. You need to not scream. You need to take your time and come back calm. Yeah. You cannot get anything done when people are screaming. So the whole thing of
all that comes out is just hateful shit and just like it's all based on emotion.
So the whole thing of like watch the thinker. The thinker is fucking stupid, okay? The thinker doesn't know what's going on. The thinker just sees and makes assumptions. So the other thing, other than me floating on my back in a pool, living a life of luxury, that's my favorite. But it doesn't always work. The thing that works best for me is I picture like literally like a tin chair. You know those like tin chairs that are at like catering events? Yeah. They're just like a tin chair like propped open, right? Folded open. I sit down in it. There's like maybe a little bit smaller than a movie theater screen, but it's a big screen. Big fucking flat screen, like right in front of me. It's blank. When a thought comes up, I visualize the thought on the screen. Mm-hmm. And I just observe it. The screen is almost the thinker in this sense. Right. Where I'm just like, why is this on the screen? Yeah. I'm like, it's interesting that this popped up. This channel popped up. You have to think of your brain and how it works. Of like, you didn't like choose that. So there's something in there in you that cares about that. So like say you sit down to meditate and the first thing you start thinking about is money. Yeah. That tells you that you need to work on something with money. Obviously, like it could be a slew of different things depending on who you are. But like the first thing that comes up is money. I'm so stressed about money. I'm so stressed. Mm-hmm. Say you sit down and the first thing you think is like, I'm so hungry. I'm so hungry. I'm so hungry. That could be it. Not everything is so deep either. It could literally just be like, okay, I'm hungry. Yeah. But you think that thought, you let it pass. Yeah. You observe it, you let it pass. You don't analyze it in that moment. You analyze it later. Yeah. If you analyze it in that moment, you become the thinker. Yeah. Now you're the thinker and you're spiraling. So it's one of those things where it's like, oh, like you could sit down and meditate. Think about some fuck shit that happened 2 years ago. Damn. Why am I thinking about that? Yeah. Obviously, there's something, a part of me that's bothering me. Still attached to that. Why is it bothering me? And that's where the shadow work comes in, where it's like post meditation, you start to think about those things. During the meditation, though, you let that thought come up, you acknowledge that it's there, and you let it leave. You don't linger on it. You linger on it later. I mean, you don't linger, but, you know, you address it later. But that's the idea of, like, watching the thinker, which is what Eckhart Tolle talks about. I'm going to see if I can find something about it in the meantime, but you can...
what was I going to say? It was related back to when someone was like, oh, like, that person, you know, hates me. They probably hate me, yada, yada. I don't know. I watched this thing the other day. It was just a short clip, and it was like, your perception is your reality. So everyone has a different perception of their reality. Everyone thinks they're, like, right in their situation or whatever. Like, it's just so weird to think about that, like, we have different perceptions and realities. And it's weird to think about that not everyone is thinking the same way as you or the same thing with life. Like, that's very trippy when you get down to think about it, that, like, everyone's perception is different and that's your reality. That's like when you get in an argument and you're like, it's just like something where it's like, that's blue, and the other person's like, no, that's red. And you're like, the dress. The blue and the black dress versus the gold and the white. And you're like, I can't see it any other way. It's blue and black. And the person's like, well, I see it white and gold. And you're like, what?
Girl,
like, it's not. Like,
it's so crazy because, it's so crazy. When you take yourself out of this, like, of just, like, oh, I live... And this is where I'm talking about, where, like, people who only think about themselves. And again, it's, like, a selfish thing, but it's, like, not everybody's doing it on purpose. So I don't mean, like, whatever. But if you're only ever thinking about yourself, your view on everything is so limited. Yeah. This is where I was talking to somebody about, like, my intuition is getting to a point where, like, I understand how, like, fake psychics exist. Yeah. Right? Oh, yeah. Because I'm not psychic by any means. I don't claim to be psychic, whatever. But my intuition and my observation skills are getting so good that I can almost predict where people are going to be. Not all the time, obviously. Like, people I'm around. For example, like, when I was on campus, there was points where, like, it would be a random point of the day and I would know that my roommate's home. Not because I'm like, I feel like my roommate's home, but because I'm like, based on, like... Her patterns. Yeah. Weirdly. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's not like I'm like, I have a feeling. Yeah. Like, I'm not psychic. It's really little things. Or even just, like, knowing what somebody's going to do in a certain situation. Yeah. Or how they're going to act in a certain situation. Because I have this lens that's way beyond myself. Right. It's certainly, like, focused on myself, but it's also, like, I can focus it way beyond myself and kind of observe the society around me and the people around me, to where it's, like, I've almost surprised myself with the shit that, like, I've kind of been like, oh, that's going to happen. Yeah. And then it happens, and I'm like... But I don't, like, make predictions intentionally. Yeah. Either. Like, I don't know how to explain it, but it's literally, like, the littlest things that you wouldn't even think of, like, oh, this person's going to be here, or, like, oh, I feel like this person's going to be here, or this probably... Oh, my roommate's probably going to be at home doing this right now. And it's, like, not just because she's doing it every day, but because of something else. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I remember things to the point where it seems like, oh, why do you know that? Like, so, and it's not all the time. It's very, like, to the point where I literally can't even give you an example, but it's very few and far between where everyone's like, shit. Yeah. I'm like, okay, and you're like, oh. That felt like a psychic moment, but I'm not psychic. Like, but yeah, where was I fucking going with that? Psychics. Intuition. Like, yeah. So you need to have, like, a macro lens and, like, understand where other people are coming from. One of the things that this is just something I, like, heard the other day on TikTok that I was, like, looking up. I forget, like, how I even found it, but it was, like, people raised on survival. No, it was on Instagram. People raised on survival see the world differently through people who were raised on, like, love, right? Yeah. For example, my mom was raised on survival. Yeah. Like, she literally was, like, first of all, broke. Second of all, like, abused in her home. So, like, and I just was the complete opposite. Yeah. Like, have no idea. So, like, her view on the world is very different. Very different. I don't even want to say pessimistic necessarily, because that's not necessarily what it is. It's just different. Yeah. And the way this girl explained it was, like, if you have, like, super... I forget. She basically said, like, if you have, like, contact lenses or glasses or whatever, and you try to look through somebody else's, and you've been wearing this prescription your whole life, and it's gonna look fucking crazy to you.
Blurry.
But it's gonna make perfect sense to them. And that's how my mom thinks. Like, sometimes my mom will be anxious or think about something, like, to me, that I'm like, girl, it is not that deep. Like, it's not happening. But it's like, I understand where she's coming from. So I'm not sitting here like, you're stupid. Like, why do you think like that? You know what I mean? Because I understand. And I can be like, she was raised completely. And that almost hurts sometimes, because you can almost feel what other people, I don't know if it's like an empathy thing or whatever, but like, I think about even past my mom, like the shit that my mom has said about my grandma, and the shit that I'm like, oh, my grandma had to have been going through some fuck shit to even do that shit to my mom. I'm like, oh my god, my lineage is
You're like,
fucked. And I'm like, and sometimes even too, it like blows my mind, because I'm like, I'm the first one that's like not crazy hurt and like thinking about survival. I'm just like living my life, and that's crazy, but it's still affecting me, because my predecessors, like, whatever. I wrote a whole poem about this too. But whatever. But like viewing whatever. So the macro lens of viewing the thinker or whatever is like crazy. I'm gonna read some of this like chunk of it. I think it's.
But with that, with your mom and your grandma, just like you're doing your best to understand what they went through, but it doesn't always mean that you guys are gonna mesh, because you were just raised so different. And
there's so many times that she annoys the fuck out of me. She's so focused on something that doesn't matter. Let something so small ruin her whole day. And I'm like, if you would just like understand that that doesn't matter, we could like have a good rest of our day.
And that sometimes affects you, because you feel like you're trying to understand what she's going through, but she's completely disregarding how she's acting towards you.
And it's one of those things where I'm like, I am able to look at it through a lens, so I understand why it's happening. And she never like is like crazy. She doesn't like take shit out on me like that. I mean, if she ever does, she usually like apologizes. But it's one of those things where it's like, I understand where she's coming from. And I understand that she's not going to be able to see things my way, because she was not raised on that. And if I was raised the way she was, I would not be able to see things the way I see either. So it's like, kind of just understand. That's why I kind of tell people, like, who are like, like, this is like just a stupid example, but like, oh, like, my grandpa's like 90 and he's racist, and I like try to tell him to like stop. And it's like, just let him die.
He's just not gonna stop. Like, there's no point trying to change him.
Like, just let him die. Let him die off. Just teach the next generation.
Because there's no point trying to convince a generation who he's now 90.
If you grew up the way he did. I'm not giving him an excuse, because there's a lot of people who grew up the way he did who aren't racist. But it's like, if you grew up the way he did, you would probably feel the same way. It's also just
if they haven't changed it by themselves.
He's 90. He's gonna.
If he hasn't changed it by himself at that point, you're not going to change it.
Leave it alone.
Like,
and worry about the next gen. So that's how I feel about that. But it is crazy to think about, and it is, that alone can make you spiral. And I think I have, like, in the past years where I was like growing from it, like what do they call it? Like, awakenings, like spiritual awakenings. I've had multiple. I feel like where I've just been like, what the fuck is my life? Where it's like, I fully, because I feel like you grow up and you're like, oh yeah, like my grandma, my mom, or whatever, and then you grow up and you're like, oh shit, there's like a story there. There's shit I wasn't even there for. Like, experiences that I've never even experienced, and they're gonna affect me. Because of genetically. Because I used to never understand like generational trauma. Like, me either. Down, but now I get it, because it's like, if your mom is traumatized by something,
it's still in her body if she hasn't worked on it.
One, it's in her body, and you were literally made in her body. Two, it's in her person, in her being.
Raising you.
It's literally how she sees the world. So she's gonna raise you based on that.
It's crazy.
So my mom still like raised me out of that, but still like I got a little bit of it.
You're gonna. I mean,
I'm gonna get a little bit of it. So I got a little bit of the money anxiety. She grew up with money anxiety. We're broke. We don't come from rich, like whatever. So it's like money anxiety is gonna be there. So what can I do to kind of like alleviate that for myself? And try to work through my relationship with money. And so I don't like, I mean, I don't plan on having kids, but if I wanted to, like, pass that on to the next generation.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or like even if my mom, like even if we're broke, that's one thing. I grew up broke, didn't know I was broke.
Yeah.
Didn't know I was broke because my mom's fucking incredible somehow.
Right.
Went through college with a fucking child.
Uh-huh.
Did not know I was broke.
Yeah.
We have like food stamps or whatever.
Yeah.
My mom would call it food money.
Yeah.
I thought the government just gave people money for food.
Yeah.
I thought everybody
You're like,
had
this is awesome.
I literally thought everybody
like,
had it. I was like, the
this is
government
great.
just like pays for our
They're
food.
so nice.
Like, I thought everybody had that shit until like I was like maybe almost in 6th grade.
Yeah.
Like, I thought everybody had it.
You're like, damn.
So like
food stamps and Santa this year?
Yes. No, and that too, it's not because my mom was like lying to me or was like, I'm not gonna tell her. My mom was like open. I just was stupid. I just was stupid because my mom never like fully was like, we are struggling.
Yeah.
My mom just was like, oh, I'm worried about money here and there.
Yeah.
And whatever. And so it's one of those things. But I'm gonna read this like portion.
Okay.
So, let me see. You've probably come across mad people in the street, which is like crazy. Incessantly talking or muttering to themselves. Well, that's not much different from what you and all other normal people do, except that you don't do it out loud. The voice comments, speculates, judges, compares, complains, likes, dislikes, and so on. The voice isn't necessarily relevant to the situation you find yourself in at the time, which is so true. Because I'll be at work thinking about something that happened 5 years ago.
Right.
I'll be in the shower thinking about, oh my god, my dinner was so good.
Yeah.
Like, it just depends. So to continue, it may be reviving the recent or distant past, or rehearsing imagining possible future situations. Here it often imagines things going wrong and negative outcomes. This is called worry. Sometimes the soundtrack is accompanied by visual images or mental movies, quote unquote. Even if the voice is relevant to the situation at hand, it will interpret it in terms of the past. This is because the voice belongs to your conditioned mind, which is the result of all your past history as well as the collective cultural mindset you inherited, which is kind of what we were just talking about.
Yeah.
Like, if you were used to thinking of things in these ways, you're going to keep thinking of it in this way.
Yeah.
I'm skipping through a little bit. Many people live with a tormentor in their head that continuously attacks and punishes them and drains them of vital energy. It is the cause of an untold misery and unhappiness, as well as of disease, which is very fucking true. Disease manifests physically, and people don't even we don't talk about it enough. We really don't talk about it enough. That's why I'm going to chiropractic. If you are somebody who is like stressed or hunched all the time, and you're just like this, your body's gonna freeze down.
Yeah.
And in that muscle, they say like a lot of women hold trauma in their hips.
Yeah.
In pelvic, because we also like, just as being socialized as women, like kind of are told to be ashamed of like everything happening down there. Like, hide your period, hide your tampon or whatever, right? So if you're like, you're probably so tense down there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Where it's like, you don't even realize that's a muscle that needs to be like released or something like that, and there's emotional trauma like stored
even
there.
Probably with sex.
Yes, no, fully with sex.
Like if you're a little nervous, you're kind of
I have to talk to you about like the
there.
yoni massage thing that I was thinking about. Oh my god, this is a whole fucking thing.
Or like being raped or stuff. You're
you're
tense stuff down there.
If you think about
not trying to let it in.
Even me when I'm like stressed or focused, like I must all clench my jaw. Mm-hmm. All of a sudden I'll have a headache.
Yeah.
Right? So I started kind of like, this is where I was talking about like just taking Tylenol versus like understanding what the problem is. I'm like, I am tense. After a day of work, sometimes it's so hard. Like I'll like literally I'll sit in my bed and I'll like massage like right here. Like
Isn't there
in front of my ear. It's
usually pressure point or something.
I think there's pressure point, but I massage it literally just because it feels tight. My jaw will feel like kind of locked in place. And I'll massage this muscle, and I'll just do it for so long till it feels fully released. I want to tell you, like, I fixed headaches in 5 minutes with that.
Yeah.
Like, a headache that has been lasting me over an hour, I fixed it in 5 minutes with that. Not all headaches can be fixed with that. Obviously, sometimes...
Like, probably not a migraine.
Sometimes you have a migraine, and you need to take a fucking Tylenol. Yeah. Okay? And that's fine. And obviously the migraine is probably coming from something else, but like that doesn't mean you just need to sit.
Isn't that weird?
It doesn't mean you need to just sit in pain. You can take a fucking Tylenol. Yeah. But if it's coming from muscle tension, like massage it out. Yeah. Relax. You know how many times I've gotten on my yoga mat and like done a yoga video, and the video will be like, make sure your tongue isn't touching the roof of your mouth. And my tongue will be pressed. And I'll be like, bitch, I didn't even realize my tongue was stressed. Like, we're so used to being, like, tense that we don't remember what it's like to be relaxed. So, like, I'll literally move my tongue from the roof of my mouth. My jaw will sink into my face. I feel it when I'm laying down. It'll sink into my face, be fully relaxed. And I'm like, I transcend, bitch. Like, it's so insane. So, yeah, that's one of those things where it's like, yeah. But, okay, so then it gets into when you listen to that voice, the voice in your head that's like telling you all this bad shit.
The little voice,
Or just anything. When you listen to that voice, listen to it impartially. That is to say, do not judge. Do not judge or condemn what you hear. For doing so would mean that the same voice has come in again through the back door. You'll soon realize there is the voice, and here I am listening to it, watching it. This I am realization. This I am realization. This sense of your own presence is not a thought. It arises from beyond the mind. Damn. What I was saying, which is like a scope of like looking, being able to be outside a third party of your mind is so important because, like, again, it's one of those things where it's like, I used to do that when I would meditate all the time. I'd sit here, and as soon as I think any thought, I'd be like, I'm not supposed to think a thought. Fuck, I'm doing it wrong. I'm doing it wrong. Why am I doing it wrong? Yeah. And then I got to a point where I was like, oh, it's okay to think a thought. Don't get mad at yourself for it. So I wouldn't get mad at myself for it, but I didn't think. And then I'd be like, oh, what is this thought about? Why am I doing this? What's this thought about? And I'd be like, okay, girl, let the thought go. Like, you have to let it go by. Like, that's why meditation is a practice. And it is not fun all the time. But it's like when people tell me all the time, like, oh, I love yoga. And they're like, well, I love yoga too. I'm just not flexible. Yeah. Like, you don't do yoga because you're flexible. You do yoga and then you become flexible. Like, and that's also not the main goal of yoga. So like it's like you don't have to be worried about if you're not flexible, you know what I mean? So it's the same thing with meditation. It's like, oh, I would meditate, but my mind is just going at a million miles a second. That's why you need if your mind's going a million miles a minute, you need to meditate. Yeah. Like, that's when you take a deep breath, and it's gonna be hard as fuck. And it's one of those things where it's like you need to start with like a minute. Like, not even 5. Not even 10. Not even 10. Like, when I really got into meditation, like, learned actually how to do it and what it was, I was like, I need to start small. Yeah. So I would literally start with 5-minute guided meditations. Right. Because your mind, that is going to be an exercise for your mind. To even try to calm down for 5 minutes is going to be an incredible feat. Yeah. So don't sit down and do a 30-minute guided meditation when you can't spend a minute. At yourself. You'll get angry at yourself. You'll get pissed. It's not worth it. But do 5 minutes at a time. As soon as you get comfortable with that, do 10. It's the same thing with anything else. Just increase gradually. But it says, so when you listen to a thought, you're aware of not only the thought, but also yourself as the witness of the thought. So the thought is not you. You yourself, eyes cracking, are witnessing the thought. A new dimension of consciousness has come in. Oh, okay. It is literally like insane. Like, damn, it is a version of self-actualizing.
This book would take forever to read because you have to sit there and process and let everything sink in.
He has these like little markings in it. Yeah. And in the beginning of the book, he tells you when I put this marking, it's like for take you a break to think. Yeah. It's for you to think about it. That's cool. And so like he'll say, and it's always after he says some like real like profound shit, and I'm like, that's why I'm like, I read literally like 3 pages on the drive to Philly. And I was thinking about it for the rest of the fucking drive. Like, it's really gonna take me a really long time to get through it. But I'm only 40 pages in, and I'm already like, and when I go back and read the things that I've underlined, I'm like, this is so good. Yeah. And like, this book is incredible. He literally.
Well, that's good. You highlighted certain stuff, right?
So, that's why I'm like, next time I could bring it, and then we could actually talk about like certain parts that I highlighted, because otherwise it's a conglomerate of like, I don't know what the fuck this is. And I don't know what part I really want to talk about, but yeah, he talks about like pain and stuff too. The part that I read on my way to Philly was about the pain body. And he talked about it feeds off of pain. Yeah. And so when you're if you think about somebody who's like in a bad or sad mood and they just want to stay in that mood, not necessarily like I want to be sad, but like I felt it before where it's like you get mad and then like you aren't really mad anymore, but like you've already been mad, so you just like want to stay mad. So you're just like mad. You're like, I'm not gonna smile. And I'm not going to do that.
And then you keep looking for things to be mad about. You're like, why the fuck is this pen here?
It feeds off
why are the dishes dirty?
He explained it as like the pain. I'm actually going to try to find the section because
it's got to be within the first 40 pages.
No, it is. But when I just read it, so like I think I'll be able to remember what parts I underlined or whatever.
It's also like the misery loves company.
Yeah.
Like,
Past pain. When you thought, the pain body wants to survive, just like every other entity in existence, and it can only survive if it gets you unconsciously to identify with it. So you can only feel that angry if you are like, yes, I am this angry. Versus if you step back and be like, I'm angry because this morning my boyfriend or my mom gave me an attitude.
Right.
I'm not angry in this moment.
Right.
You are hanging on to something literally from the past, which is part of like the power right now. Like it's not happening right now.
Yeah.
It happened and now you're sticking onto it.
Holding grudges
Onto it. So it then rises up, takes you over, and becomes you. And you live, and it lives through you. It needs to get its food, quote unquote, through you. It will feed on any experience that resonates with its own kind of energy. Anything that creates further pain in whatever form. Anger, destructiveness, hatred, grief, emotional trauma, violence, and even illness. So the pain body, when it has taken you over, will create a situation in your life that reflects back its own energy. It literally, you manifest pain when you want to stick with it. Because basically what you do is what? You start giving your attitude to a friend. And then your friend's like, why are you treating me like this? And you're like, leave me alone. And then all of a sudden you're fighting with your friend because you're still mad because your mom gave you an attitude this morning. When you could have just been like, my mom's going through something. I'm going to let her do her thing. I'm not going to take it personally. I'm going to go the rest of my day. And then be chill with your friends. But now you're fighting with everybody.
Right.
Like,
isn't that where it's also like you're really only angry for like a certain amount of time?
Yeah. Also, anger is a secondary emotion.
Yes.
It comes from something else. It comes from something else, either insecurity, sadness, like a slew of other emotions.
Or just something that's
you're never just angry. Yeah. You're angry because of something else.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, you're angry because you're sad, or you're angry because
you're insecure,
or someone's like really rude and being mean to you, and you felt sad, so then you went angry.
Yes. Once the pain body has taken you over, you want more pain. You become a victim or a perpetrator. You want to inflict pain or you want to suffer pain or both. There isn't really much difference between the two, which is...
Yeah,
there isn't much difference. You're not conscious of this, of course. The pain body, which is a dark shadow cast by the ego. We need to do a whole thing on ego death.
Ego death, yeah. And
I want to have an ego death.
Dylan had one.
I'm so sad.
It was a really crazy trip.
Here's the thing.
I like
with ego.
I love my ego.
I'm very aware of the fact that I need to be detached from my ego, and I don't really find it hard to a lot of the time. I'm more of the time I'm like putting my ego on the back burner. But there are some certain situations, and I swear to God, it's my Scorpio. I swear to God.
Yeah. She's
so fucking jealous.
She
is jealous, and there's so many times when I'm jealous of something, and I'm like, I don't need to be jealous,
But she's
it's that observer. I'm observing the thinker. The thinker is like, well, I want that. And I'm like, girl, if you don't be... we have so much other shit to worry about. So it's like, I am able to take myself out of it easily, but still it's there. And it's just like, I want it to die.
Yeah, that's...
I want it to die. I want to be unbothered by everything all the time, which most of the time...
I do too.
I am, but it is one of those things... I was telling you about, like, when you're angry with somebody and it's like... to stay calm.
Yeah.
Because, like, yelling is a whole ego thing.
Yeah.
To yell when you're angry, in general, is
it's
an
just
ego
to be,
thing.
like, a boss and, like...
It is fully an ego thing, because you yell because you want to be heard, because you have something so important to say.
Yeah.
Which, I'm not saying anything that you're saying isn't as important, but, for example, like, I think about the people who come in, and, like, when you work in food industry, right? People come in, this is wrong. This is wrong, and every time I come, it's wrong. And it's wrong, and you guys suck, and it's wrong. Other people who come, and they're like, I came here. Every time I come here, it's wrong. My first thought is, like, why do you keep coming here?
I know.
I'm I'm like, girl.
All right, solution.
Maybe stop coming here. If we keep fucking up, girl, maybe don't come.
Yeah.
Like, maybe we're not the place. Like, why do you keep seeking? That's
maybe
why
the
you keep
universe
seeking
is
out the
like,
problem, right?
Yeah.
And it's also sometimes there really just isn't a problem.
Yeah.
So, like, the yelling, for example, like, I'm thinking about any situation because, like, for example, I'm vegan, right?
Right.
So if there's meat in my food, I can't eat it.
Right.
But I'm also not a people pleaser. I used to be.
Yeah.
In middle school.
Yeah.
I was a stupid, crazy people pleaser. And then I realized how much it makes you hate other people, for one.
Yeah.
How selfish it is to be a people pleaser, which is something...
It's so weird when you think about it.
It's so selfish because what it is like, I want everybody to like me.
Yeah.
Not everybody has to like me. And I'm okay with that. I'm fine with that. Like, no, I'm not going to be everybody's cup of tea. But in fact, me being myself, I want to attract the people that are fine with me. So the thing with that is, like, being a people pleaser, you end up building resentment for other people because you do shit for them even though you're uncomfortable doing it. So then later you're like, I hate that person. Yeah. Which is, like, something my roommate did. Yep. Which is one of the reasons why she was mad at me. I was like, are you going to keep being mad at me or are you going to talk to me about it like an adult? And then she's like, I didn't know I was being weird. And then literally the next day she's like, I'm so sorry. Like, I was just, and it was like, her apology was good. Yeah. It was a good apology and she was very realizing, but it took days. Yeah, and that's for that to happen. Because it took days of her just being weird towards me. Yeah, and then me addressing it for her to even say
if you're being a people pleaser, that means ever since you and her formed a relationship, she's been doing things out of her comfort zone, and you think that's normal. So when she resents you and starts doing things that are way different, you're like, wait, we don't actually get along, maybe.
You've just been pretending this whole time. Yeah,
and you're just been pretending that we do
self-actualized, you can start to feel it. You can start to feel it, and it's weird as fuck.
You're like, it's switched up big
because
time.
I went to Michigan with one of my friends. Or no, I went to Michigan, and I was with one of my friends. We were at karaoke. Yeah. And we were dancing. This isn't that big of a deal. Yeah. It's really not a big deal at all. Like, this isn't like she's not crazy fake or anything. We were dancing. And we were drunk. But even being drunk, I, like, noticed anytime I, like, switched my dance move, she would just copy it.
She would just mirror it? So that's a whole nother thing. Isn't
and
that
I was like, is she just, like...
borderline or something?
I didn't know what that... I don't know, because, like, some of it can be, like, I think it's, like, a thing with, like, autism, too, like, masking or whatever.
There's a lot
But, like, there's a lot of different things. That's why I was like, it's not inherently, like, bad. Like, she didn't do anything bad. But it's one of those things where I noticed it, and I was like...
She didn't do anything bad, but
it was like, I'm the blueprint right now. Like, what are we...
If you were there for a long-ass time and she kept doing things, then it would be like...
This is kind of an example of, like, what I mean with the whole psychic thing, where it's like... Yeah. You start to be able to make conclusions about people. Not conclusions, but, like, estimations. I would say, like, guesses, assumptions. Because I don't want to say, like, for sure. But, like, for example, that's telling me in that moment, like... This sounds so...
You're like, this is kind of weird.
This sounds so up my own ass. So I don't mean to sound up my own ass. I'm not saying that this is exactly what's happening, right? But, like, in my head, I'm thinking... What would... If I was a person and I wanted to copy what somebody else was doing... Yeah. I think they look awesome doing it, and I don't think I can do that on my own. Right. So I'm just going to copy it. Right. Right? So in my head, I'm like, oh my god, she's just copying me because she thinks I'm cool.
Yeah, so then your ego, it feeds your ego.
Not even though, because I'm mostly detached from my ego, so even my ego's like, I'm not
your
cool.
Your ego's like, this is weird.
My ego's like, I'm not cool, I'm just literally flopping around. Yeah. Like, that too, that's one of those things with the weirder you are, the more confident you are, the more people think you're just cool as fuck. Yeah. Because I swear to God, I just dance. Yeah. Like, I do the weirdest thing, the weirdest movement. People who are, like, insecure, one of my favorite things to, like, advise them to do, or people who are, like, they don't have a lot of self-confidence, even just in a moment, I'm like, put on a song that you love, and don't try to dance cute, do the weirdest movement you can think of. And see how it makes you feel. Yeah. I love it. Yeah. It's, like, crack to me.
It's like the Wednesday Addams dance. Yeah. How it was just very just...
Oh, yeah. And it's one of those things, too, where it's, like, even... Another example is fashion. Mm-hmm. I love... There's something about going out thinking I might be, like, a little bit ugly. Yeah. That is exhilarating. Yeah. I don't know what it is. I will, like, put on the weirdest fucking outfit and be like, I can't tell if I like this or not. Yeah. And I'm like, well, I'm gonna wear it. Yeah. That's how I know. I'm like, if I can't tell if I like it or not, if I absolutely don't like it, then I don't like it. I'm not saying wear something you don't like, but I'm saying, like, when it's like a little strange.
Right.
Like, I had like a really weird outfit I put together like this past semester, and I was like, this is fucking weird.
Yeah.
Like, I was like, the colors go together. I was like, but the pieces don't look amazing.
Right.
I was like, I can't tell if I like it. And I was like, you know what? I'm gonna go out in it. I was like, there's something exhilarating. And you know what? Random people were telling me
just
like, my outfit.
complimenting.
Random guys were like, I love that.
And then you're like, whoa.
Random people. I was just like, so it's one of those things where it's like the more weird and like kind of I don't give a fuck you are, the more people are weirdly gonna want to copy you. But even more, like, I just want people to be themselves around me.
Yeah.
Like, I'm like, just be weird. Like, the weirder you are, the more I like just respect you as a person. Like, the more you're just like, I don't give a fuck. Because the more I'm just like, okay, awesome. But yeah, that like mirroring, like,
no, that it's literally the worst.
Oh, I was just so weirded
when
out.
someone, what were you just saying, that they were people pleasing? That's like absolutely the worst, because you could be friends with someone for so long, think you mesh because they're mirroring you or pleasing you.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, they just break it because they're sick of it, and they like, realize, and you're like,
it's like, girl, where this
you're like, dude, we don't even mesh anymore.
I was listening
like,
to another podcast about this, and this girl who was doing the podcast is a people pleaser, and she was talking. She was literally, it's because it's one thing to be self-aware, it's another thing to do something about it. So she's so self-aware, and she does it, and she's actively trying to do something about it. So she was like talking about like, you do build resentment, and it's not fair. And I respect that in myself because I honor what I want. So, like, in a situation where it's like, oh, like, I want to go somewhere alone, but somebody wants to come with me. Yeah. I'm not going to be like, oh, I'll just let them come with me. Unless I really don't care. Unless I'm indifferent. Right. Unless I'm like, okay, well, I don't mind. Like, whatever. Yeah. But if I really am like, I'm going to be pissed the whole time if they're next to me. Yeah. I'm going to sit here and be like, hey, do you mind if I do this alone? Yeah. Because I care about myself. Right. Whereas, like, a people pleaser cares about themselves, but also in a way of, like, I care what everybody else thinks. So it's like, I'm going to let this person come anyway because I don't feel like confronting the situation.
I'm going to resent them
so, like, I don't like when people are non-confrontational. I'm not saying either. I'm not like, go up to somebody and start, like, being, like, with them. I'm not saying start fighting
just
bitches.
Say what you need to say.
Say what you need to say and say it calm. It's the same thing where it's like, oh, like, I can't send food back if it's wrong. Oh, that's what I was talking about. Yes, whereas, like, I'm vegan, right? Yeah. I'm vegan. I have worked in the service industry since I was 15 years old. I'm 23. I know what it's like to be there. I know that people don't give a fuck about your food. And that's not even a bad thing. It's like they're just on the clock. Yeah. Like, I just work here, right? So if something's wrong, it's not a personal vendetta against the person giving it to me, right? Whereas, like, you can see with some, like, adults, full-blown, like, in their 40s, they're so bored that they're like, my food's wrong. Yeah. You're the person who handed it to me, so you must have done it. And I'm like, girl, I'm on your side. So it's like, it's one of those things where it's like, no. So I'm like, I can't even imagine a situation where I would need to yell. Right. I can't imagine a situation where I need to yell. If I got something that was wrong, and it's happened to me in the past, I'm like, hey, I can't eat this because of whatever. Like, this is wrong. Like, could you just, like, fix it? Whatever. You don't have to be an asshole about it. No. I think we're so used to seeing people being an asshole about it that we're like, oh, we can't bring it up without being a dick. But you can. You can just be like, hey, this is wrong. Can you fix it? Yeah. That's it. It's so chill. Yeah. And most of the time they're like, oh, my bad. Like, I'll fix that. Like, I'll go get it for you. And it's fixed and you're fine. And also being okay with, like, outcomes, right? So it's like, say you have to be somewhere at a certain time. Right. You order food, you get the food, it's wrong. You don't have time for it to be remade. You're pissed. Yeah. You're so valid. It's not wrong to be pissed in that situation. It is wrong to take it out on people. Yeah. Right? Okay. Yeah. So the person there, it's like, all right, hey, I don't have time for this to be remade and it's wrong. Can I just get a refund? Yeah. Can you just get a manager and let me get a refund? Yeah. The manager comes out, probably refunds you. And honestly, if you're a chill person, I work in customer service. When you are a nice person, I advocate for you to get, like, free shit. Right. Like, I'll be like, this person's food is half an hour late. And they've been sitting there being sweet as fuck. Can you just give them gift cards? Right. It's the people that yell in my face and I'm like, this person's yelling in my fucking face. Right. And they still get gift cards. Right. Because it's customer service. But. So then it also goes the other way where if you're a people pleaser, this is the worst, is when you get your food and it's wrong and you are just silent
and you just force yourself to deal with it.
Like,
even
why?
if you don't
would you
like
do
it.
that?
Like, I've literally been with friends
Why would you do that?
or relationships where I've literally had to tell the waiter, hey, my friend or boyfriend's food is wrong. Can you please fix it? Because they don't want confrontation. And I'm like, I'm not going to let you suffer.
That is a lesson that you need to learn on your own, though. Because here's the thing. Here's the thing with that.
Yeah.
It's like, it comes from a place of, I'm not going to say of self-hatred. It doesn't come from a place of self-hatred, but it definitely comes from a lack of self-love.
And just being like, okay
and
with
self-respect.
Things. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because that means you're just going to let shit happen. Because you'd rather not deal with it.
Right.
You're just going to let shit happen. You don't respect yourself enough to actually, like, fix it.
And then you guys don't mesh, maybe.
And it's a whole thing, because I've seen other people deal with it, and I hate when people are non-confrontational.
Because
it's a whole thing. That's what starts drama, right?
Yeah,
That's when you start talking shit about somebody behind their back. That's when you start saying, like, oh, whatever, but then smiling in their face because you don't want to be confrontational.
Yeah.
Hell no.
Yeah.
I love a bitch that can dislike me and live like that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? I hate somebody who's going to dislike me and come to me, hi, how was your day?
I know.
Oh my God, I missed you. Now, it's different to be civil, right? You can be civil and not like somebody. You can be like, hey, like, we're working together and we're fine. You don't have to, I'm not saying if you hate me, you have to act like you hate me.
Yeah.
But don't act like you love me.
I know.
Like, that's fucking weird.
And then that creates a whole thing, though, where you're like, I'm going to say something for you. And they're like, no, don't. Like, you're such a bitch. You're so embarrassing if you do that. And you're like, no, I'm sticking up for you because I love you and you deserve that.
Like, you need
and
to stick up for
I
yourself.
have enough self-respect for myself and you. But then they're like mad at
and
you.
I take that away. I take it away. Because I'm like, you need to learn it your own self.
Yeah.
You need to learn it yourself.
Yeah.
I don't
do
you
remember like
and that's
when
where,
you learned that? Or have you been like that?
I think
a
a huge part of it for me is, I mean, I attribute almost everything to being an only child who
Yeah.
was literally raised on a college campus by, like, whatever. So, like, I don't know. I feel like I was able to learn a lot. And I also take everything, like, seriously, right? Like, I remember when I was a little, adults still do this to kids. They're like, stay young as long as you can, right? Yeah. Most kids are like, no, I want to get older. I want to get a car. I was like, okay.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
I was like, all right. Like, I was like, I don't know what the fuck's going on with adulthood. Like, it sounds interesting to me, but they don't seem like they like it.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna enjoy what I have now. Yeah. It's the type of shit where it's like, I listened. Yeah. And, like, so it's like, I almost, where some people, a lot of lessons you need to live through it to learn. Yeah. For me, it was a lot like that too. But some of them, and a good amount of them, were like, I'm just gonna trust. Yeah. What this person said, who said they went through it, I'm just gonna trust them. Yeah. Some of it I had to learn on my own. Yeah. Yes, 100%. Yeah. A lot of it was the people pleaser shit where I was just like, okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And people like take advantage of me. And then I was like, oh, now I'm fucking angry. Yeah. Now I'm pissed off. Yeah. But some of it is like a lot of people need to learn shit on their own time, and it's like I also respect myself enough, and just not even respect. It's not even a respect thing, but also just like don't want to expend my energy on trying to teach other people lessons. Right. So I'm like, if you're going to deal with that, which is why I like let, the whole mad thing, like let people be mad at you. Right. Let people be mad at you. Right. If you're not going to be an adult and bring it up to me. This is the thing with my friend. Like, I was like, okay, we're friends. We're roommates. I respect you enough to even just bring up and acknowledge that something's weird. Right. If you're not going to. Yeah. Obviously, you're struggling with it. Yeah. So I'm just going to say it. And first of all, it was bitchy the way I said it, but it was the nicest way it was going to come out. Yeah, like because I was like, it's been 3 days. If something's wrong, are you going to talk to me about it, or are you going to keep being weird? Because if you they think that, and it was just going to pass. And so she gave me the response of, I didn't know I was being weird. Meanwhile, she's like leaving me on red, not talking to me and shit. You do. So I just was like, okay, yeah, and I left it because I was like, you know what, I tried, I put myself out there. Everything else is up to her. And that's why I was like, literally like 2 days later, she knew. She was like, I came in even later that night and she was like, kind of, it's just not like, okay. It's the and best I was like, when you leave it up to the other person, because then that shows you who they are as a person. Also, when it shows you who they are, how they're going to react. Yeah. Also, it takes all the pressure off of you. Yep. You don't have to be like, are they mad at me? I did something wrong. And you don't have to apologize, and you don't have to. I was confident enough to know I didn't do anything wrong. Yeah. fully comfortable admitting if I did something wrong.
Yeah.
I am so comfortable being wrong.
Yeah.
That I am almost never wrong because I'm so comfortable being wrong.
You like
that it's like I know all this math
like,
in my head where it's like I'm never gonna really most of the time put myself in a situation where I'm wrong.
Yeah.
That being said, I'm a human. I'm not perfect.
Yeah.
There are situations where I've been wrong and I've definitely apologized for it. But I'm comfortable admitting it.
Yeah.
So it's like I know I didn't do anything wrong.
Yeah.
You're acting weird towards me. If you have a problem, you need to bring it the fuck up.
Yeah.
Because otherwise I'm going to act like nothing's wrong. Yeah. And I'm going to keep living my life.
Yeah.
If you're going to create tension in the room.
Yeah.
That too, there's a different thing too. Because it's like, okay, you can ignore it, right? If we're living together, you can still ignore it, but it's like we're living together.
Yeah, and you're making this weird as fuck for
the tension
me.
in the room. If you're not going to address it, then stop making it.
Yeah.
Stop making it.
Yeah.
Figure it out on your own if you're not going to address it. Otherwise, bring it up to me.
Yeah.
Be like, hey, I feel weird because of this.
Yeah.
And we need to talk about it.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that because we can just squash it right away.
Yeah.
And everything she told me, I was like, I wish I told her in the moment. I was like, if you would have said this the day it happened, we could have been done with this.
Just avoided all that.
I told her, I was like, everything you're feeling, I could have like told you that's not how I feel. Or like whatever. And like kind of reassured you.
Yeah.
And like just kind of we could have squashed this. But instead you let it sit in your mind.
And marinate.
It's my ex did this too, where she was like
God.
My ex did this too where she would be like, I feel like, you know, like me. After like after like 3 days of acting with her, I'd be like, why? And she's
something
like,
you did fucking
just something
2 weeks
just
ago.
This, like you did this one thing and I just thought and I was like, if you would have brought this up 3 weeks ago, you wouldn't have had to been like in your mind. And the way she was to my ex was like she was one of those people that would spiral, super anxious people. So I'm like in my empathetic mind, like picturing how she felt. I'm like, so you just hung out with me and went home every day and was like, she fucking hates me.
Yeah.
She fucking hates me. She fucking hates me. I'm like, that is a miserable existence.
That's weird to me.
Oh my God.
Like when people just
bring it up.
Like
I love confrontation.
Me too.
Because we can just dead it right away.
As soon
we can
as
dead it right away.
As soon as something bothers me, you bet I will tell you that second. Like I will almost want to wake you up out of your fucking sleep.
If you're passive aggressive, fuck off.
Yeah, like if you're
gonna be passive aggressive, because it's another thing to be like that too. If you feel like it bothered you, but like for example, there's a lot of things that bother me that I don't bring up with people, but it's because I know that there's no point, right? So for example, jealousy is a good example. If you're jealous about something and you're like, this is so, like, I know this is stupid. Yeah. I know that I'm being ridiculous. Now, if I need to get the reassurance, I was like talking to you about this the other day. If I need to get reassurance, then it's like, okay, I will say something. But if I've like already, again, named the thought in my mind, this is insecurity speaking. Yeah. It's not real. This is just insecurity speaking, and they're not doing anything wrong, and I'm not doing anything, and I'm just going to let this die. Yeah. Then it's like, okay, I feel a certain type of way about it, but I'm going to let it dissipate on my own, but I'm not going to act weird towards them. It's a completely different thing to be like, yeah, I'm acting irrational. Like, I know this thought is irrational, but like acting weird, like sighing, like not talking, I'm not making eye contact. It's like
blows my mind when people.
I didn't do anything wrong, so you need to tell me what I did
for weeks.
Yeah,
and then you're like, oh, you're mad about something that happened weeks ago, and you're just now telling me
it is
like
fucked up.
And that's where you think, what have they been thinking this whole time? What have they been doing?
That's the thing where I'm like, being a people pleaser is selfish. Which is, like, not my own words. I mean, it is my own words because I believe that. But also, like, from this podcast I heard this girl talking about, she's a people pleaser. She was like, it is selfish inherently because you are putting your own comfortability, and people are so scared to be uncomfortable that it's like, I don't even want to bring that up.
That's bad.
But it's like, girl.
That's to an extent.
You're so scared to have an uncomfortable conversation that you're going to sit here and be mad at me for 6 months
and then
over one thing, and I don't even know it.
Yeah, that's the worst.
And then
I don't even know what I did.
You don't even know it until something little happens and explodes.
Yeah,
right. Because you hold it all in. Yeah,
it's
not good to hold it in.
And then explode.
Not good to hold your shit.
And then you're like,
they explode, and you're like, where'd this come from? And they're like, well, 3 months ago you.
And it's
like, girl.
You're like, well, how can I apologize now if I didn't know I did anything wrong?
That's
like,
what I'm saying.
Can I fix this?
Even you can't assume that people know what they did or whatever. If you're upset about something, you have to assume that nobody knows about it, and you have to address the situation and be like, hey, this thing you did kind of made me feel uncomfortable.
Yeah.
I promise you that conversations can be way less uncomfortable than the feeling that you're holding inside your body for however long period of time because you're too scared to ask and tell them, like, I'm too scared. Yeah. I'm sorry you're allergic to nuts and you're eating fucking peanut sundae
so please
because the fucking waitress
your new date
didn't hear you say no nuts.
Yeah. Oh
because your date likes nuts?
Yeah.
Oh, you like peanuts? Okay.
You're swelling up.
My tongue's just tingling. No, it's fine. It's fine. No, because you like them. So, like, girl, figure it out.
Everyone, moral of the story is say what you feel when you feel it. Don't people please.
I can't believe we've gone through another hour.
I know. I'm like, I'm ready for
I know.
Oh, my God.